Welcome, everybody, to the Risen Esports Premade Dominate Week 6. I am the Doctor, and I am being joined by none other than the Rebel Fox himself. How you doing today, my man?
Doing great. Happy to get some League of Legends in, and super excited for, I think this is actually my first game of Premade Dominate all season, so really happy to get involved here.
Yeah, it's always a good time on the Risen desk. Today, we do have the Gen1ers facing off against Excalibur eternal. The two teams here fighting to definitely move up in the rankings. Excalibur are fighting for that second place spot. They're actually tied for it right now at 4-1, whereas the gen1ers, if they want to be in the playoff hunt, they do need to win every single game they have remaining ahead of them.
It's big for both teams, I think. Or my apologies, Excalibur, wanting to make sure that they can lock in some of those top spots, being able to get that edge over Glacier, especially coming into the break, not wanting to take a loss and having to recoup from that. Instead, you pull that momentum out into the break. It would be really nice. As you said, this is kind of do or die time here for gen1ers.
And so now that we are into the draft phase, already looking like we're banning out some of those big top tiers. Caitlyn, Akali, Kha'Zix, Nautilus, all of these just really big, heavy champions just off the table immediately.
Yeah, making sure to do their due diligence, taking a lot of them off the table here. There's still an Ashe available for either team if they want to go ahead and take that one. It is going to go the way of gen1ers. It looks like they're hovering that one. And then the question is, like, what do you take in response to it? I know sometimes the Senna is kind of the response. Okay, all right, never mind. I'm just going to stop right there.
Yeah, I mean, with the Caitlyn band away, it is typically that Ashe Senna handshake. I do like Excalibur picking up the Shen, though. Lots of professional play lately. Really strong in making sure that those cross-map plays can really happen. All right, I don't know if we lost.
Sorry. My headphones came unplugged. That's on me. I apologize.
All right, but you're back now. That's what really matters.
Yes. As we get the set coming in here. Set's been like super priority as of late in a lot of levels of play, especially just because of his ability to kind of move around. I know top he's been sneaking back into the role, but really that's likely to be expected to be a support, or either a support, but more likely a jungle set. There's plenty of places you can grab him here, but again, with the Graves locked in now, you have to question where the set's actually going to end up. Is it the counter to something like the Shen, even though Shen's got that W, the Q trading power? Is it going to go into the mid or the support role? Kind of interesting things to do about it.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think it is going to end up being that top lane set into the Shen. Does give him a bit more of a gold advantage compared to the jungle. Graves super quick on the jungle. Diana, though, is a super interesting pick, though. That is an Excalibur trade secret in the jungle.
Yeah, really interesting to see, especially into something like Graves, where if you get a little bit of early AP on something like Diana, that is a really sneaky, easy clear, especially with a little bit of attack speed combined with that. And its dueling power is not to be underrated, even before you get that level 6 mark and you've got that ultimate available for yourself. Has some okay ganking as well, especially now. You look at the Shen in the top lane, you're going to be able to get on top of champions very quickly. Senna likely to be paired with something very aggressive or something super defensive at support, so it's either A lane you can go to all the time, or B, a lane that's you just don't touch it with 10-foot pole. Either way, Diana's going to have some pretty clear instructions for what to do with the map here as the draft continues.
Yeah, and so these next couple bans from the gen1ers may look a little odd to you. That is unfortunately due to them losing 2 bans due to some emergency substitutions. So they are banning away the Teemo Rise, 2 champions that, gonna be honest, just don't exist right now in the meta. So ban those away, get them out of here. And now, like you were saying, there's going to get the aggressive support pick coming out from Excalibur. But is it the Tom Kench? Is it the Braum? Is it the... Can't be the Nautilus. So...
Yeah, personally, if you're going aggressive, it's got to be the Leona that comes with it. Leona Senna is like an absolute gold standard of bot lane at the moment, especially into something immobile like Ashe. Instead, they look to the Galio first. It can be flexed to the support role, which I think is really intriguing as an idea to be able to pair that with Senna, because I know back in the day of like fasting Senna, that was a really good potent bot lane duo, and it can do some real damage. They do need quite a bit of AD, though, so I actually might expect that Galio to go into the support role unless they've really got something planned for the ADC role or the support role as an AD complement to Senna.
I do like gen1ers' decision here. They don't have a ton of knockups, but they went for the just absolute Shen counter. They got the Vladimir, absolutely melts through the back lines. It's pretty much one of the only champions that actually wins the lane against the Shen as well. And there's the Taric, which I don't think that's what we were really expecting to come out there.
It's an interesting pick here. You're playing into Set, which wants to get in your face really consistently, and Tarek's one of the few champions that I think actually, as a sustained fight continues, can keep up with the pure output of damage coming through from a Set, from his Q being able to heal him, to those abilities, giving him the enhanced auto attack with that bravado. The question for me, though, is that they don't have that AD supplement. They've got Senna, who isn't the most high damage carry in the late game. They're really relying on Diana and Galio to do a lot of work here in the laning phase, and especially in the later team fights, to burst out some of these champions.
Yeah, the Gallia just still seems really odd to me. Because when you think
Mhm.
about situations where we see Galio slash Shen, I'm gonna put a slash there because it's not often we see both of them on the same team for a reason though, right? Because they do the exact same thing when it comes to these like mid later game team fights where they just ult the carry.
Mhm.
And when you're looking at this Excalibur team, like you said, the carry should be the Diana, and so
Yeah.
you're gonna get a Shen shield, a Galio shield, and a Tarek shield.
Mhm.
It's a very easy R comp, but it also feels like there's definitely room to overlay your abilities there a little bit too much.
Yeah, you talk about like one tricking a composition here, and Excalibur has exactly one way to fight most of these, most of the ways that a game can play. That's how they play. Diana dives. You've got Shen Shield, and you've got Galio. That's two champions right on top of you to help wherever you end up landing. Tarek can throw the shield, the heals, and even the ultimate onto Diana to allow her to freely kind of move as she pleases. And even when she's in a fight, things like Senna, things like Shen have a good amount of damage, a good amount of like protection to free up Diana to do a lot of work. They put all the eggs into the Diana basket. But you look at the gen1ers composition here, Vladimir is pretty much unaffected by the CC that will come out as long as that W is used properly. Yasuo is a little bit subject, but that blocking that Q can kind of deny the Diana access to some of the backline. And then Set, you just alter right out of the fight before those ultimates can come in, or during those ultimates, and you now have a split fight where your primary carry is outside the range, outside of the Ashe and the Graves range. There are some ways that gen1ers can play this to make it difficult on Excalibur.
They also have a pretty easy time itemizing the tanky people
Mhm.
of gen1ers. The set support, something that we haven't actually touched on outside of just set existing. Vladimir can get kind of tanky. Graves has the sure grit, so he's not super worried about it. But like, there's really only magic damage coming their way. Like the Senna exists, but before she starts getting her items, she's not really a big threat. So Set's just going to be free reign, build up, some magic resist, defend against the Diana Galio Tarek, and I, I
Mhm.
don't think I've ever seen Set support Tarek support face
Yeah.
off.
That's an interesting one. Like I said, I actually do like the Tarek specifically in the matchup because, again, when Set's passive comes through with the knuckle down, coming up against the bravado, I do think there's at least a little bit of even damage. You have a lot of base armor on Tarek, especially with the W upgrades. Your Q will help supplement all the extra damage from Facebreaker, from Haymaker, whatever it might be. So there's legitimate grounds. Not to mention, now you've got Senna in that bot lane too for some extra healing and damage. The Set doesn't just like outright win the support one-on-one matchup or even like the two-on-two damage matchup with all of the healing they've got in bot lane here for Excalibur, which is rather nice to at least imagine here. So I actually don't mind the Tarek. I think it's pretty nice.
I do still think that these wave management still goes over to gen1ers. Senna just very slow attack speed wise, very middling damage early on. The Ashe is going to be able to just volley into oblivion and just completely shove that wave in, which really kind of unlocks the Graves in my opinion to hit this mid lane of the Yasuo Galio matchup. And if this Yasuo can get ahead outside of the Shen, I'm not really sure who stops him.
Yeah, I'm a little contemplative about that as well. I guess the Diana will have the damage to at least do that, and then the Tarek ultimate can deny a lot of the damage Yasuo can do in a team fight. I'm also under a really, really suspect area of consideration here because gen1ers, they don't not only do they not really have to build a ton of AD for Senna, they can itemize magic resist, which is great. But you look at Excalibur, what is their actual consistent DPS source too? Because Diana's not going to have it outside of like Nashor's auto attacks, which is not consistent at all. Shen's got some Qs to throw in, and then Galio's got Winds of War. But you're really not getting consistent DPS here. If you have a high health pool like Vladimir, if you have 500, 600 AP, you're ending up 35, 4,000 health easily, and you're not going to get burnt no matter what, let alone the healing that comes out. I'm really worried for Excalibur if this goes late, trying to figure out how to kill anybody on the side of Gen 1 with a lot of health if they don't get Diana rolling early.
and this is a best of three, so things kind of have to pop off here in the first game. And you mentioned, having to burn through Vladimir. The other question is, and it's Boris's favorite question, but who picks up the grievous wounds? Because you have the Senna as the only AD to pick up the Executioner's Calling. You can pick up some Bramble Vests on Shen and Galio, but Vladimir doesn't really care about those.
Mhm.
And do you really want to be buying a Marilla Namicon on this Diana right now?
That's true. You look at the healing, I guess. I would suppose Senna would be the best option here, just because of the fact that, yeah, the penetration's nice for all of your abilities and your passive on Senna. Being able to apply that across multiple targets, really, really nice with something like the Q, and then things of that sort would be really nice. Like, Gred, I think you're right in the fact that, like, Morello doesn't really belong on Diana. You could maybe argue it for Galio, especially if they're able to get him ahead a little bit earlier, or probably third, fourth item somewhere in there. But I think the Senna's early, and actually, you take the flip side of this. You think of Senna, you think of Tarek being able to heal and sustain a team. I think Ashe is the perfect person to build that as well. Yasuo is not building it, and Morella's not going into Vladimir early. Graves probably doesn't want to build it, and there's so much damage on the rest of Generation 1. I mean, I think Ashe is just that the two ADC should have very early executioners here.
And so, as we're closing out this draft phase, I'm gonna have to ask you this: Who do you think won the draft / is gonna be winning the game?
I think, just like in terms of ease of execution, it's a very simple execution for the side of Excalibur, which is rather nice because they've got easy champions. Seems like they pull out something very comfortable in the Diana in an early game, and if they get it snowballing, which seems likely, especially with things like Shen and Galio being able to move across the map very easily, could be in really good things. If we get late and this game kind of devolves into more skirmishing, more team fighting around objectives, and there isn't a definitive lead here for Excalibur, I think it's so hard for them to try to fight up against the side of Generation 1ers. So in my mind, if this game lasts too long, I don't think Generation has any way of losing whatsoever. But Excalibur should have a much easier time executing on their comp. We'll just have to see if they're able to make it work.
Ease of execution can definitely be the name of the game, with that team being able to just press R and win team fights. You love to see it. But with that, folks, we're going to take a short break while we put the building blocks together for the rift between game 1. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are once again with the Premade Dominate Week 6 matchup between the gen1ers and Excalibur, Eternal, Doctor, and Fox on the desk, bringing you all of the action today. This is a best of 3 to decide if Excalibur can pick up that second place positioning in the league as we head into our bye week. And so now, Rebel Fox, this is a bit of a spicy matchup because, like we were saying in Champion Select, there is a huge timer on Excalibur this game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how they're capable of playing around that timer, or at least how they're capable of using their composition. Because we made it seem as though there was absolutely no chance they win after a certain point. Maybe perhaps that's my mistake. But they do have a really big wombo combo in the likes of the Diana, in the Galio, into Shen, to everybody else. So if you hit a really good late game version of that wombo combo, you can still hit a very you can still win a team fight later on in the game, but it just becomes much harder if they know how to respond to something like that.
And sometimes it can be all down to that one team fight. We have been seeing a lot of even professional games going to these 35, 40 minutes just for one person to get picked into a Baron. And all of a sudden the game's toast at that point. If you are able to get a pick onto, say, Averlim or even Miss You Stepbro, as difficult as he is going to be to take down, like you said, that could be the deciding factor.
Really could. I also want to take note really quickly that the Diana, who is going to be subject of all of the kind of scrutiny that we might put this team under on the side of Excalibur, is currently running Electrocute, which is a very aggressive rune, and it's usable on a lot of her combos. But I know Conquer is something people can go to. I know that Hail of Blades is something that people go to. There's plenty. Phase Rush even, I think, is really popular on Diana. And so there's so many different keystones to go to. I'm curious what the Electrocute specifically does for Daily Peach in this game.
Oh man, early level 2 coming out from the side of the gen1ers. Tons of damage coming through, burning all of the summoners on that support set, but not able to get a kill and only losing Kage's flash.
Yeah, nothing too crazy on that one. The set now in a very rough place where you have to very heavily rely on the likes of the Hex Flash just to be able to get you in position for anything aggressive. But at minimum, you do get the flash away from the Senna, who's relatively mobile again.
It does get the Hex Flash into the Haymaker. The shield's going to block a ton of that damage on Tick, though. And just hyper aggression from the set. Always go.
As to be expected out of the support role, especially when paired with something like an Ashe, where you have so much good damage, so much follow-up soft CC to prevent them from escaping. It can be really rough. As the levels progress, again, these heals will get stronger, so it's a little bit easier to come back. Before these early levels, really love the aggression here from Neverwinter, knowing to play on the front foot against these two.
It just seems to be trading across the map. Even in this mid lane, we're seeing just, tons of aggression coming out from Everlium. And so that's another matchup that I think is very crucial. Yasuo's known for taking over games and just running away with them, and already starting to build up quite a CS lead.
It's not super easy for the likes of the Galio. The wind wall kind of destroys your ability to control a wave with the Winds of War. It's relatively simple to get a knock-off. Not to mention, you're much better into mages, specifically with your magic shield as the Galio. So at least all things to consider. It's not an impossible matchup here for the Galio. You can just try to stonewall, especially with a little bit of early armor. Seeker's Arm Guard early on does wonders for the Galio, but not certainly a lane that we're looking for Mowgli the Cat to try to win here.
Outside of that, it just seems pretty normal. Teams farming it out, junglers doing some full clears. They should be just about even once Omnify clears out this Krug camp. And topside doesn't seem to be going too poor. We actually see Blust on a CS lead right now.
Yeah, if you're able to get in on a taunt, especially with the Grasp of the Undying, those Qs do really do damage, especially to high health targets. Somebody like the Vladimir makes it very simple. He's still blowing away Mowgli the Cat here in this mid lane, has a very significant lead. That's the taunt I'm talking about. Look at this damage trade from Shen.
Yeah, Grasp of the Undying, just so much damage there. Stepbro, being a little hyper aggressive, does burn through a lot of his HP bar, trying to just cast abilities, but does have some potions still. Does have the Call too, which is probably one of my favorite starts where we've been seeing from some mages lately, especially in these like kind of handshake farm lanes.
Absolutely, being able to, especially into Shen, I think is the really big matchup that a lot of people are capable of doing it into, or champions like Shen, where you don't really expect to win the laning phase directly, as you see with the trading power of Shen. And Shen's trying to get out of the laning phase, so you just want to get as much gold as humanly possible into the pockets of this Vladimir as fast as possible. And Cole's one of the best ways to accomplish that goal. Not to mention, you could talk about a little bit of the assistance in farming with your auto attacks, but that's not really the reason why. You just get that scaling.
Yeah, I do think it took a very long time for people really to see how beneficial the call is. But just these last couple of weeks, I've been seeing it absolutely everywhere. And it's just great to see because, like you said, it helps you scale so much faster than you would normally expect.
Would you recommend it into a lot of different matchups and things of the sort?
I personally take it to a lot of handshake matchups where I don't expect a lot of trading. Like if you were the Yasuo right here, I could potentially suggest it. If you're the Galio, no, stick with Doran's Shield even maybe. But I feel like there's a lot of matches that if you don't need that, super bonus HP from a Doran's item,
Mhm.
then it's totally acceptable to pick up the call. It's super efficient gold wise, and you really only get benefits from it.
Would it be advisable to say that cull is what the doctor ordered, or is that just like too much? Did I go overboard there?
I'll write you a prescription. You can pick it up at your local pharmacy. We'll get it. We'll get you squared away. And at first, gank coming out, and it's actually from the support. Neverwinter coming on through, trying to get something done. Does land a face breaker and the ignite, but we do see the fried chicken just able to walk away.
He is at Neverwinter is just kind of really touchy with this ignite. He just burns it on cooldown here in the mid lane in what seemed like a very dead play. Level 6 here for Daily Peach.
Does use the ultimate there. Doesn't quite land onto Averlim, though. Does force to get flashed away thanks to Neverwinter. And the re-engage teleport coming back in. Omnify's also behind the wall here. And Aver's just very posturingly aggressively.
It was a very late ultimate there coming in from the likes of Daily Beach. If you hit that on the E on the way in, you actually snag Yasuo with it, and I think there's a possibility where you're able to get not only Electrocute, but an additional auto or two, and that's really going to drop Averlim at minimum force the flash, but unfortunately hit that so late. I do have to respect that he flashed very quickly once he realized that Neverwinter was still there, avoiding the trade kill and not getting shut out of his own jungle, but still, I thought that could have been really, really good here for Daily Peach.
Yeah, the Electrocute not quite coming into too much play there either. It is something that initially concerned me about the pick, especially when you're going over some of the more, in my opinion, better options. The Electrocute's kind of like Ignite, right? Like it's a very early game focused keystone because the damage kind of falls off a little bit later on.
It does. And it does help against very single target oriented champions or into individual matchups. So against these kind of this top and this mid lane, it should be more helpful. But you actually saw in that last one, the E didn't get reset off the back of a Q that was denied here from Averlium. And that was a really, really big aspect. So the Windwall already putting in some effort here in this game, trying to protect this Yasuo. I'm curious to see where the build goes as well, because Runic Echoes is very standard here for Daily Peach, but outside of that, I'm curious if you go to something like the attack speed, you go into Nashers, you go into Lichbane, anything like that with the on-hit, or if you go directly into AP. I know Rabadons used to be a pretty standard build item or things of the sort. Even like Proto Belt could be something you slip into that build just for a little bit additional burst on that initial engage.
Yeah, with it being the jungle as well, you do need to take into consideration the economy that you're typically working with here from the forest. Mid laners can typically afford like a Rod of Ages and be super tanky on this Diana and yet still be able to pump out a ton of damage. That simply doesn't exist if you're a jungler. You cannot even consider that item to be an option.
Yeah, agreed. Now, you see First Dragon getting taken. This is off the back of lane priority. Again, the Galio isn't really winning mid lane, but you can push it out pretty easily compared to the Yasuo, who has to spend a bit more time before Static Shiv is done. Not to mention bot lane with all the roaming that's been done by Neverwinter, a bit of priority, and actually the farm lead pretty much even in that bot side, which is really nice for the Sanitaric coming into the mid game against likes of Ashe. Top lane, we got some
Okay. Stepbro going super low, does get the empowered transfusion though, able to bring that back to an even trade. And now on the bot side, we do see Neverwinter getting a really good trade off there with the help of the Haymaker. So much true damage. The ability is still something. Right, it can nerf him quite a bit, but it still exists.
You gotta say, you don't see Aftershock all that often on specifically the set support. You usually see something like the Phase Rush or even Omnistone in certain circumstances. But right there, it paid absolute dividends. If they catch him there without that Aftershock being available, they absolutely kill him. And because of that rune, able to keep himself alive off the back of that one. So Neverwinter, he's all over the map. He's trying his best to get some aggression out, but at minimum, they're not able to aggress and stay
Oh
very
man, another
top.
huge dash in from Blust here. Does have to use the Spirit's Refuge though, just to try and stay alive. Not able to trade back in first blood over to Miss You Step Bro.
Yeah, really, really good trading. I understand the aggression from Blessix actually flash into the top lane as well.
Oh, but the counter flash in Neverwinter gonna show stop the tick back into the forest. We do get the ultimate out of Tarek as well, so not able to win that trade. Haymaker just for a little bit of poke at the end, and just another trade of abilities down here in the bottom side.
That it was. Davy Peach kind of standing ground here. Cancel.
Oh man, huge ultimate coming out there is gonna pool of blood away from that tower shot to stay alive, and now with the empowered transfusion is able to continue running away. Mowgli finds himself up over the wall, does get the slow from the pull through on that sword. Very well done there from Blustix, but on the other side, Omnify is able to survive as well.
Yeah, I think there's, again, a way where you can play that top lane fight a little bit more cleanly, where you press that Shen ultimate much faster on the Diana instead of waiting for the engage instead. You hang out for another second, you press that, you then immediately engage with Diana, and then you've got both champions stacked on top on that initial ult button coming through from Diana instead of having to wait and then chase down the Vladimir burning that flash eventually. Not to mention Graves would have been more threatened, but still, good return of play on the top side, and the kill, unfortunately, doesn't go onto the Diana, who has to be the carry for the team, but at minimum, the Shen going to have a little bit of reprieve on the top side.
Shen should be able to start building up some magic resist soon to really be able to hold this lane a little bit better. Has gone for that Balmy Cinder and the Tiamat there for just absolute wave clear, so should now be in a position to constantly shove the wave into the Vladimir, but I'm concerned because that should open him up for Omnify ganks as well.
But it does, and the hat on a hat, the kind of build you're going with here with the combination of Tiamat into the Cinder Hulk, it's good when you have to build armor immediately, but it's not as good into something like the Vladimir. Another into the top side.
Does get the ultimate out of the Vladimir, tons of healing out of the Hemo Plague, does get a nice little transfusion off the back end too. That should send Blustix back to base. Does have to teleport, so we'll be able to get back in time to save the tower, I believe.
And he had the grass proc, which is what's shocking, but again, has to burn the teleport here, doesn't have the ultimate for a bit, so now Vladimir has a little bit of roam pressure. Mid lane, not going to be too much, it doesn't look like.
Yeah, it does get the bonus armor penetration there, but there's a lot of armor to cut through. That Seeker's Arm Guard's pretty good. Combo with the HP there. Another huge taunt coming out of Blustix under tower, forcing that pool of blood out once again.
Yeah, and playing super aggressive and on the front foot here as Blustix has to be the only way you can play this matchup whatsoever. Otherwise, you're just going to get run through. But Omnify is on top side, try to give a little bit of pressure back.
This is exactly what I was concerned about. The taunt's not going to connect. Miss You Step Bro gonna be able to transfuse back up to HP, and this red buff should just about steal it. There comes the Dawning Shadow. It's not enough, but now Daily Peach has entered the ring and is going to be able to pick up the kill there. Miss You Step Bro should be dead as well, it seems. Going to be able to pick up the double kill there, and that should... they don't want to hang out because they're a little low. I was going to say should be the tower, but still 2-0 in favor of Excalibur there.
And that's the exact play that you want to make if you're on the side of Excalibur right here. You see the engage coming through from the likes of the Diana. You're able to follow it up with the Galio. That time it was a little bit off the back of the gank coming through from Shen, but really, really nice kind of opportunistic ganking coming from Daily Beach to get him a little bit of gold. You're sacrificing quite a bit of mid lane farm against the likes of the Yasuo, so Avernium will be a little bit of a problem.
Mowgli, though, getting a little assistance from Tick. He's actually super low. Flash in, flash out. Down goes Avernium. And so now Neverwinter's going to pull some people back into the tower range, but he's just a support set. His damage is non-existent at this point.
Yeah, now, if you're able to shove out mid lane efficiently here, you could potentially just look directly for the dragon because Daily Peach making his way down there, which would be an interesting little play because that would confirm you Infernal Dragon and second dragon of the game to get you closer to that soul against a team that does do pretty well late. So that soul would be a big boon to your late game team fighting. You are down, however, the multiple ultimates across the course of your team, so you're really relying on Daily Peach hitting a massive ultimate here, being able to utilize that Moonfall to maximum avail. Otherwise, you're going to be in some trouble around this dragon. But here they are.
Oh,
Assault starts.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow going to land on the Kage. That is just the 80 carries duking it out. However, the Shen Stand United is still available to enter the fight. Right now, we do see all of Excalibur being shepherded back into their own blue buff. Daily Peach left all alone is going to be able to get in here with the Stand United, but it's not in time. Shutdown coming out onto the jungler there, but a massive 5-man taunt coming out of Mowgli. Gets the double kill. The fight's still continuing with a big showstopper onto 4, and everybody is so incredibly low, but the team fight is going to be going over to the gen1ers off the back of their solo laners.
A really, really massive ultimate. Nice little taunt coming through from Mowgli the Cat. If they were able to kind of find any sort of way to get that combined with the damage coming through from Peach, this would have been an absolutely different story. That might have been just a team wipe coming through from Excalibur. But they're able to force Daily Peach out of the fight to start with. They sacrifice the dragon. And Blustix, unfortunately, cannot join the fight because that Stand United was burnt way too quickly. However, it does trade that top tower, which is some nice gold back and forth between the two teams. So no real advantage in terms of gold coming out from the side of Excalibur, but I do like their ability to play some of these team fights at absolute maximum. And Cage actually looking really, really good. As soon as some of the extra lethality starts to come online for the Senna, we'll absolutely decimate those fights as well in the mid-game.
And we talked about the Executioner's calling potential for who was going to be picking it up. We do see Cage picking it up very early on, just after completing their first item, whereas we don't see it just yet on Vector. Has completed that Blade of the Ruined King, is going to be cutting through this front tank line of Excalibur, and things are looking almost out of hand already.
Yes. Looking to really capitalize on what should be a strong mid game with Senna power spiking as soon as you get some of the lethality. Galio starting to get into the point where that AP is going to give him a little bit of damage here before he just falls off the face of the earth. And Shen still does pretty remarkable damage, as well as Diana slowly picking up more items. Going to be getting onto Nashers pretty soon. Again, I'm not in love with that decision in terms of how it plays with the rest of the comp, because you're not going to live that long if you're Diana. You just want to kind of burst and then immediately finish the fight from that point on. But either way, you will have a little more consistent DPS out of that champion, which is nice for what you need.
Speaking of burst, looking over at some of the itemization coming out from gen1ers, all right, nothing's actually happening right now. But looking at the itemization specifically on Verlium, picking up the Wit's End first item, foregoing any type of crit as a Yasuo is really going to help him survive in these team fights.
Interesting, because the survivability is great, but if you don't have damage to back it up, what's the point of surviving that long? I know most of the damage coming out is going to be magic damage, so I like the buy, but I don't think you could actually kind of throw. You could easily make that third item is basically.
Oh man, Miss You Step Bro just absolutely deleted with a little bit of assistance from Daily Peach. Didn't have any vision. Looking at the map, you can see 3 control wards on the bottom half there and absolutely 0 vision for the blue team. Now in the mid lane, we do see Tick getting a little bit of assistance, but in the backline, Cage is already getting knocked up by that fearsome Yasuo. Dawning Shadow will seal his doom, however. And man, team fight, Neverwinter slaying the enemy jungler. And that is a 1-for-1. All right, it's not so bad.
Yeah, nothing too crazy there. Really close to actually being a 2-for-1 as well. If you were able to find that last E into an auto attack or a Q or a passive proc, something from Daily Peach, maybe Omnify goes down in trade. However, he gets absolutely bodyguarded by Neverwinter here. So really well done on this set support. With Yasuo down, it's a fair amount of your damage gone. I actually don't believe Yasuo does all that much for this composition outside of simply killing Cage. And with the Wit's End, you're really not in that horrible, or you're not in a great position to make that happen, which is what you saw. He actually got a really nice tornado to the back to get onto Cage, but it didn't really mean anything because he doesn't have the damage to back that up. So ends up being just a pure 1-for-1, and a little bit more kind of damage onto the Galio will be nice in this mid game to try to keep pushing that advantage in team fights.
Yeah, and I did like once you did see Aver get into the backline on Cage, the team was kind of like, wait, stop everything you're doing, save the 80 carry, keep them alive, and we win the fight. And even though it's a 1-for-1, I think they win. But we're seeing Blust get some really good aggression onto Stepbro here. Hemoplague goes down, lots of damage coming out of the Tides of Blood and the Transfusion. Blustix now on the worser side of this team fight, but it's just continuing on. Gonna be able to land that, and this should
Oh my
be a
goodness.
solo kill at some point. Gets the flash. Meanwhile, on the bot side, Mowgli is trying to fight for his life as well. Ignite coming out from the Yasuo, and that should do it. They should trade 1-for-1. Not quite. Yasuo is going to be able to survive, and somehow Stepbro's still alive in this top side. Another empowered transfusion. Blustix, where are you getting all this HP from, my friend? But it doesn't matter. He gets it in the end, and that should be another tower going over in favor of the gen1ers.
A lot of time burnt on the top side of the map here by the side of Miss You Step Bro, and that was huge because they were able to make the rotation to bot side, kill Mowgli, the cat, get a shutdown. Daily Peach, I don't think he can do this alone. But he has reinforcements. Okay. And they blast him. They can get out.
Just gonna blast cone over. Looking at the Eye of the Herald though on Neverwinter, it's just about over. I don't think he's gonna be able to get into a lane to pop it before it actually expires.
Yeah, the best case you can hope for is to put it as far up as you can in mid lane, try to force a response from Excalibur, then maybe move into the river, get vision or get priority in that river for the next dragon that's going to be coming up here in just a couple of seconds. In fact, it just spawned, but already Excalibur's on that. So yeah, it might just be a little bit too late here for Neverwinter to find a really great place to drop that.
I mean, you have your Ashe there. I think you just run mid and pop it. Hex Flash over into the pit. Red team's going to pick up the dragon, and the Herald's like 20 seconds away from expiring. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get a charge out of it anymore.
Like I said, you could maybe drop it in mid lane immediately because you've got all 5 members there, but already Miss You Step Bro kind of moving away from it. Might have actually...
And
okay, there it is.
Oh, I did pop it. Okay, I was like, it timed out. Oh no. But still, how do they get a charge out of this? There's 4 members here. Here comes the engage on the Vector. Absolutely deleted. The counter engage coming out from Mowgli's Galio, and they are locking up Aver's Yasuo into oblivion. And now we do see the rest of the team fight shaking out in good regard. Miss You Step Bro trying to get some damage down, does get ignited. Double kill for Mowgli on this Galio. And the Herald ends up just giving 2 free souls over to Cage, and another 1 team fight for Excalibur.
Not done yet.
Not over yet. Daily Peach starting to get pretty tanky on this jungle. Diana does have a good amount of burst damage. Here comes Mowgli frontlining like the best of them, and they are going to be able to back off after that tower.
Really huge to be able to not just stop the Rift Herald, but also immediately break mid tower for a composition that, again, it already looks like they're team fighting super, super well. Their execution of it looks fantastic. And so if I were on the side of Gen 1, I would start to sweat at least a little bit off the back of some of these fights because they have disrespected Mowgli. Now, the initial engagement here from Daily Peach wasn't enormous, didn't do the most ridiculous damage to multiple targets, but it was the ult afterwards from Mowgli that just tore this team apart. Finding a couple of kills and generating all this momentum on the map for this team is humongous. And now, I mean, what is your response to that? You got to play a lot more carefully, a little bit more on the back foot here from Gen 1. Otherwise, you can keep getting wrecked like that.
Yeah, and I think a big part of this is the lack of damage from this Yasuo. Going into the Wits End Phantom Dancer build, you don't have a ton of AD backing that up. And what we're seeing from Mowgli right now is he is maxing W second, getting the biggest possible magic damage shield possible, so that when he is ulting into these team fights and is transitioning that shield to all of his teammates in the blast zone, it's making it almost impossible for the Vladimir to do damage. And when Vladimir can't do damage into the backside, he's just a drain tank. And what we're seeing already with the combination of that Executioner's Calling and the Ignite, I think it's gonna be tough look going forward.
Not to mention, you look at the side lane, it's still pretty favored for Blustix, at least for the immediate, like, kind of future. It would be funny to me if an Executioner's got built by Blustix, because I think if he did that, there would be no place for Stepbro to go. Watch this fight.
He's down below half HP already. The Hemoplague's available, but man, I think you're actually right.
Yeah. He builds an Executioners, and like, what does Stepbro do? What is he going to step up, take 75% of his health, press an Empowered Q, get like 5% back, and immediately die?
No.
Oh, no.
So Daily Peach does get the pull out after the taunt. Hemoplague coming out as well. Blustix in a bit of a tight spot, doesn't have anywhere to go, but should be able to survive just long enough to get some good damage down. Dawning Shadow not going to come in time. but the collapse is now coming in. Tick and Mowgli just gonna be doing some good damage here. Pool already used by Stepbro is gonna get taunted up and just absolutely deleted. And we do see Omnify able to survive, but they do lose a lot of pressure in this top side right now. But look at the rest of the map. Yasuo's already on a tier 2. Set's on a mid tier 1, heading to tier 2. This could be disaster.
That they are. They're trying to push around the map. They should be able to get this bottom card. They could be able to trade here at best opportunity and maybe get Omnify as well. If it were me, they don't have the ridiculous amount of damage for it without Diana, but I honestly, they could try for a Baron, but this early, it was a little bit of risk. So at least nicely played from Gen 1, knowing they lost the entirety of that top lane fight. They lost because, Blessix was able to pull everybody on that top side. Vector's dead again.
Oh, no. Doesn't even need the ultimate, is just able to bust out the damage. Daily Peach doing their best Evelyn impression, I feel, just jumping out from the shadows and assassinating your AD carry.
She is. The Diana starting to look really terrifying, and again, when a little bit more kind of damage starts to come through, it looks like actually opting for the Seeker's Arm Guard, and so maybe into the Zonias for third item, which it gives you a lot of staying power. It looks like rather than just trying to play like the nuke style, where you go heavy AP Diana followed up by a Galio ultimate, they're instead playing it as just a form of pure engage, something like Camille Galio, where then the consistent damage afterwards is what the threat is. The difference is this Diana is blowing everybody up because the only person who's really built significant magic resist is this Yasuo.
And even then, it's just the Wits End Merc Tread. Blustix doesn't have a ton of armor, so this is actually a little bit scary for him. He's able to taunt out, does get the teleport coming in from Mowgli. And it does look like the rest of the team is collapsing as well. Pings onto the dragon, which has now spawned. That's a lot of damage.
That it is. I gotta give a lot of props to Mowgli, who's just been completely ready for every trigger. This is actually big dragon. Cloud Drakes are super good for this composition that want to play this very ult-driven teamfight style. Taric ultimate, Galio ultimate, Senna ultimate, and then even like the Stand United, the Shen ultimate coming in with all this added cooldown reduction. Could be 30 maximum at all the dragons there are to get that soul. Would be humongous to work with.
Yeah, I mean, they are going to be getting the 3, like you said, for the soul. And then that bonus movement speed after proccing your ultimate as well, I feel is super big. We are going to get a taunt here onto Neverwinter. Does get completely locked down, but the damage simply isn't here just yet. Mowgli's going to fist bump the wall there. But they do get... so it's a mental game. Mental warfare.
Yeah, mental warfare. They're able to burn a little bit of the kind of anticipation maybe from Neverwinter is what they're able to get. But a couple of times they've kind of ran into that situation. I feel like both teams have run into the situation where you find somebody caught out a little bit and then you just can't capitalize on it too well, which is a lot of respect given over from both sides here. I'm very excited, though, for the side of Excalibur being able to set up a massive fight around what will be the Cloud Soul. I'm curious if Gen 1 is even willing to try to fight that, because, again, if you have to play pure 5-on-5 against the Diana Yasuo or a Diana Galio, there could be some real problems in your future.
We've already seen it go poorly before. Aver's going to sit on a ward for just a second. And you mentioned maybe not fighting for it. I do think that's a curious play. I don't remember the numbers offhand, but I do believe the soul in general just absolutely skyrockets your win percentage. Not necessarily, Cloud Soul. Although I think Cloud Soul isn't actually the worst. If I remember correctly, it was Infernal actually having the lowest win rate. But we do see Blustix going to be able to get a huge taunt onto Omnify, but his Diana left him out to hang. Omnify, though, getting some good damage down. Yasuo getting taunted under tower. Going to take a couple shots there. So now Blustix kind of left out to dry. I don't know where Daily Peach went. Oh, but good stun here on to the set. Is going to Showstopper out. Does have the Haymaker still available. Not even a chance to pop it, though. Is going to go down. And so now Blust is trying to get something done here. Ignite and Last Breath onto Mowgli, who is now just getting burnt down as the chicken he is. We do get the Phantom Dancer Shield. Stand United actually coming through. It is in time. Tower goes down. In the jungle is Daily Peach. Aver not able to dash over the wall, but I don't think Mowgli can assist. All right, then. Get the taunt into Justice Punch combo. And that is Aver going down. Engaged now coming out from Daily Peach once again. Not quite enough damage there to pop it. Phase Rush Flash combo getting Step Bro out of danger. Now's the Baron call. Heals in from Cage, and I think this should be pretty free.
The one thing is they don't have Spite, but Omnify is down for a while, so I don't think there's a really easy way to try to seal this outside of just pure 50-50 throwing your bodies into it. Not to mention, they see Diana on bottom side. They have no vision in this river. They might know they're around that area, or at least backed off that area, especially since they've been gone from the map. They have to understand now, but it's already too late. They saw the Diana bot lane, react to it. They're going to lose Baron, which sets up this Dragon play really, really well, because now you can play a kind of a game of chicken here on the side of Excalibur, where either Gen comes and contests you a dragon. I cannot believe that.
What is that damage?
Oh my
Daily Peach essentially two-shotting him, just making me eat my words about that electrocute, by the way. That was just silly.
I like I am like not shocked that it's doing this much damage. What I'm shocked about is the fact that it's doing this much damage with like Runic Echoes, Nashter's Void Staff. Like I feel like that combination of items probably shouldn't be enough to just let you rip through an entire Vladimir at this point. But boy, apparently I need to learn things about Diana, because this is just destroying everyone across the map now.
Now, as this is a best of 3, does Daily Peach ever get this pick again? I'm guessing no.
He shouldn't. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying he shouldn't if Gen 1 wants to try to win, or if they have any anticipation of not getting throttled by this. Early on, it didn't do much. If they want to play something super aggressive early, they could try to match something like the Diana. But now the Rabadons, I actually don't see anybody living through this. Not to mention, you talk about the itemization. Look at the farm. 300 jungle farm, 50 above her opposition, and well more than any laner in this game right now. 4 completed items, 8 kills, just absolutely monstrous at level 18 as well. And no one else even close to that. 2 levels above the opposing jungler and 1 above her top laner at the moment.
Which is pretty nutters in and of itself. I mean, the next one down actually being the enemy 80 carry.
Yeah.
All right, Blessed getting a little aggressive. Does have friends, though. This is a very deep 5-on-5, potentially. We do see Daily Peach being a little sneaky. I don't think they had him on Vision. But that should just be free Cloud Soul. Just take it.
Yeah. Just grab it, walk away. There's, I think, easier ways to try to set up what they were looking to set up here, where if you're able to push out top lane with one member, you can almost bait them into the jungle where Shen can react from a farther distance. You could definitely have Mowgli pushing up the mid lane, trying to get jet pressure there with the Baron buff, but obviously it doesn't matter. Omnify is very dead.
Oh no, you're too far ahead, buddy. Does get the flash, the bonus move speed from the Cloud Soul, however, coming in clutch, and we do see another kill coming out. Aver's getting blown up by the enemy top laner. This Yasuo simply has not worked out. Daily Peach diving into the minions, diving in. Aver is getting annihilated by the enemy Shen. Stepbro now joining the fray, has that Grievous Wounds passive plugged in. Look at that shield coming out from Mowgli, the friendly cat, and that is going to be a killing spree for the Galio as well, and that should be game. I don't see how anybody survives long enough to get back to these towers, and that's going to be Excalibur taking a massive game 1.
If you're playing the 5-on-5 on the side of Gen, you really don't win that ever, but there were ways to try to play that, but they obviously weren't. Instead, they were trying to play 1-on-1s, 2s-on-2s, things of that sort all game, and it just never came to fruition at all because they never had the strength in their side. It wasn't ever this demonstrous gold. It wasn't 10, 15,000 gold at any point, but it was a slow creep, a really, really good execution of composition, and they knew where their strength was lying in Daily Peach. Really clean stuff from Excalibur in game 1.
Yeah, I think that was actually very interesting because we talked about it in draft about how it was just a press R comp, and we were like, yeah, but like Yasuo Vladimir, like they're counters and like they get a lot of stuff done and they do a lot of damage. Like it should be okay. They got scaling on their side, just just farm forehead. But just the 5v5 coming out from Excalibur there was so well coordinated. That's gonna be a tough one, and I'm curious to see how pick ban goes from here on out.
I am as well, especially now that the Diana has been taken away. What do you have to sacrifice? I know they lost 2 bans, so they're not going to be able to pull that. So now, do you leave the Kazakhs up or give that away? I don't think you can do that either because you don't want any comfort here for Excalibur's jungler. Yeah, then the Bard or the Nautilus getting through, so you have a little bit more prevalence in that bottom side. I think they have to pick and choose what it is that they're giving away. But yeah, I would be sweating a little bit after this game just off of the execution alone, let alone off of the individual performance of Daily Peach and the rest of the squad.
All right, folks, that'll do it for game 1 here of this best of 3 series. We're going to take a short break as we just try and collect ourselves even a little bit because we are going to be in for a series. So stay tuned. It will be right back with game 2 between gen1ers and Excalibur Eternal. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are once again with the Risen Premade Dominate Week 6, matchup between gen1ers and the Excalibur Eternal squad. They have swapped sides. They are now gen1ers on the red side and Excalibur on the blue side. We are heading into draft right now, and joining me is once again the wonderful Rebel Fox. And right off the bat, man, that is the Diana ban.
Yeah, if you'd have told me Diana was gonna get banned in game number 2, I'd have been like, okay, there's absolutely no argument with that at all. To be said at all. Actually, interestingly, on blue side here, Excalibur, they can focus a little bit more on specific bans, and so they go to Yasuo, which I didn't think was fantastic from Gen 1 here in game number 1, but certainly must have some sort of kind of allegiance against it here on the side of Excalibur.
I think it was just at the end there starting to get the edge over Mowgli's Galio, who was building mostly for that damage aspect, and couldn't really trade effectively, especially because it was the teleport versus ignite matchup. And so that, are they skipping their first 2 bans? Chat says it's Kha'Zix, actually. Diana Kha'Zix is what I'm reading in the chat.
Big focus already being thrown at the jungler. Nothing too shocking about that one after the game 1 performance on Diana. So we're there's nothing shocking about that, but still, Daily Peach. I'm curious what he's going to bring out if he just runs out of junglers with things like the Diana and the Kha'Zix that can pop off in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, with the Shen followed up. So yeah, I believe that it. Chat said it's Kha'Zix, but now they're trying to figure out the whole ban situation. But so Shen being banned away as well, they're just completely routing that game 1 composition for Excalibur.
Yeah, we see the Caitlyn get locked in because it wasn't banned out here on red side, but that does leave Ashe open potentially as the response, which is a very good response, and it's been kind of worldly the exact response. Jhin is the other one. Usually that comes about when the Ashe is banned, though. The Ashe certainly didn't have massive effect in the late game, so maybe perhaps that's what they're thinking, is that the Jhin will have a little bit better of a time during the laning phase, things like that. But certainly with the Ashe left up, I would have liked to see that versus the Jhin. Play aggressive support then if that's the case, or play something with lockdown to pair with that W. The Lux would make a fair amount of sense, especially into Caitlyn, who's relatively low mobility.
Plus now you don't have to deal with the Caitlyn Lux, but you do need to deal with the Caitlyn Morgana, which is
very good into Jhin Lux, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's extremely good into Lux. You have your Black Shield, you have your counter binding, and you're definitely going to be doing so much more damage early mid as that Caitlyn Morgana than the Jhin Lux.
Yeah, plus that W, the Tormented Soil, is actually a really, really good way to try to control the wave, but it just doesn't matter because they go to Thresh instead, trying to take full advantage of the CC that Thresh can bring against a relatively squishy bot lane. I do think it's a rough lane for the Thresh because the Jhin and the Lux can batter him with auto attacks the entirety of the laning phase, but if you're able to get a couple of hooks here and there, it can set the Caitlyn. The Zillion gets locked in the mid lane. Let's go.
So it is a Mowgli special. I'm not a huge fan personally. I am going to have to see how they round out the rest of the draft to see if it is worth picking it that early on, because you are going to be able to get the counter in the Vygar. And right now, you're really only looking at that Caitlyn Zillion to ultimate himself. And obviously, it works. We did just see it yesterday in that TSM Cloud9 Game 4 with Bjergsen obviously popping off. But is Mowgli Bjergsen? I'm not sure.
Either way, I mean, as a champion, Zillion brings a lot to the table in terms of utility. Helps out a primary carry, somebody like the Caitlyn who wants to help in the early game. It can completely deny any sort of access. My issue right now is, Gen 1 has drafted really well into it in that Jhin, Lux, both very, very high distance champions that can stay pretty far away from the Zillion, so you have to play very hard up. And then even the Vygar, very good at positioning, aggressive positioning here, or punishing, my apologies, aggressive positioning from the Zillion to try to get those bombs down. And his ult basically driven out as soon as the Vygar presses his ultimate button as well. So immediately kind of the response where Vygar also has a lot of consistent damage through fights to work against something like a Zillion comp.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he does get the extended cooldown on his W as he collects, bringing up these powers. We're actually going to get a Graves ban. That is super interesting to me. Obviously, no jungler yet picked for Gen 1. They are going to be saving this last pick counter, presumably for that top lane, though.
It's interesting. Okay, so they pinched a little bit of the pool here, so immediately the Grave's taken away. Now the Nidalee is the response. There's a lot of AP on this team, and Jin doesn't have the best DPS purely as an ADC, at least in terms of like absolute second to second. It's not great. His auto attacks are huge, and they have a lot of burst, but when it comes to pure DPS, they're rather low in that regard. The response looks like the Vi here, which is huge to try to get on top of a team like this. You can pair that up with the Zillion very well and try to buy space for this Caitlyn to move up in fights, puts a lot of pressure onto the likes of the Jin, basically every member of Gen 1 here.
And it does pretty much set up a free double bomb situation as well. Just a simple amount of lockdown. She can carry a bomb in with her assault and battery and then just drop another bomb on top. And all of a sudden you have buku damage and a very long stun. And I really like this tank pick because, like you were saying, tons of AP, not a lot of AD. Ornn gets to just build free tank and he's never going to die.
This composition around Excalibur is basically just purely Caitlyn driven. You've got some good damage in the likes of Vi and Zillion who can provide quite a bit, but at the end of the day, this is just a pure Caitlyn composition. If Caitlyn gets rolling, gets onto 3 items, you're gonna be able to put a lot of damage down, but here we go. The response to all of it is the Riven. Going to be able to get on top of this Caitlyn is going to be the #1 question mark for Gen 1.
Yeah, I mean, Gen 1 just completely full send. They're already down 1-0 in this best of 3. They need to get a W here. They gave their top laner the full counter pick, and that's probably the biggest swing for a counter pick we could probably see.
Yeah, I very much enjoy that grab here of the Riven. If not for what it does in the lane, what it does for the team, but actually I really just enjoy it as a pick in general. Riven's fantastic to watch, fantastic to kind of theory craft while we're going through the laning phase. I don't know specifically how easy it's going to be to try to generate pressure as the Riven in the side lane against an Ornn who's stacking armor, or how easy it's going to be to run through something like a Thresh, Zillion, and Vi to get on top of Caitlyn, but getting creative is part of the process here of playing something like the Riven. So Misuse Stepbro certainly has the work cut out for him in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the Riven doesn't really get off to a good start, it becomes very difficult. Like you were saying, there's so many ways to stop the Riven from getting in. If they can get a really good vision control setup, though, then all of a sudden we get a lot of Fnatic bushes. We start getting a lot of pick potential. You know, combo the Lux, Vigar, Riven. It's going to be up to Excalibur to keep those wards fresh and keep them up. That's a very big economic hit they're going to have to take.
That it is. I'm going to be able to try to capitalize on a lot of the pick pressure they've got. Not to mention, when you look at their composition, they have a lot of range to work with in the Lux, the Jhin, the Nidalee, the Vigar, all of which they like to play from a relatively extended range, medium or further away. But like if you look at the Ornn, perfect counter to something like that, because now you throw the Ornn ultimate into this team. That's a lot of closing distance that can be capitalized on by Vi. When you throw the Q, you throw the ultimate, things like that, you easily catch the team. Zillion, speed somebody up. Now Thresh, Caitlyn, right inside of your kind of field of view. So now this composition that doesn't like to play very close has to be has to at least get run down by the likes of Vi and Zillion, Caitlyn, Thresh. So dodging out the Ornn ultimate, or on the opposite side of that, really good Ornn ultimates can very, very heavily sway the way that fights are going to play out for Excalibur and for Gen 1.
Now, in my personal experience, Riven's not actually a counter to Ornn. I've seen time and time again Ornn's actually solo kill opposing Rivens. And when things are available like the Camille or the not so much Jace, I'm trying to think of another super hard counter. I'm curious what your thoughts on the Riven are, because like I said, I don't think it's a true counter pick.
Oh, not at all. No, not in the laning phase. I don't think Ornn really has a fantastic counter pick in the laning phase directly. Most of what is played into him that has tried to be anything of that sort typically ends up being either a counter pick in terms of scaling, counter pick in terms of wave clear, something along those lines, where that becomes your main kind of issue here. And so to me, at least, the Riven is going to be, it's a tool to try to attack the one real carry on the side of Excalibur in that Caitlyn, not really a laning phase. You can use it for lane priority on top side to try to aggress against the jungler if the Nidalee wants to play into the Vi, but I don't think that's extremely viable in this particular game.
Nidalee, jungler, I'm not sold on. When I look at the current meta, you know, we're on 10-16. When I look at the current meta of junglers, every time somebody picks Nidalee, I'm just like, why? There's so many better picks. Like you can go for the Skarner, you can go for the Lee Sin, you can go for the well, I mean, Graves and Hecarim were banned away this time. Kha'Zix banned away, but like there are still picks. Lilia is still on the table, which I think she's probably S tier if you think about it. So I mean, I
Mhm.
just Nidalee always leaves me with a big fat question mark.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about the Nidalee specifically. I think has just a really, really high level of execution that you need to hit in order to make it a very legitimate grab instead of anything else. Otherwise, it's very tough to play because early on you're not doing all that much without AP. You need the Runic Echoes to really start out farming so many of the junglers that are currently in its iteration, and then try to gank with it. There's no real CC. You need lanes that play around it. There's so much that the Nidalee almost requires that you have that, especially people who are unpracticed on it, people that don't play it all that often, are going to have some trouble.
So we're having a bit of a technical issue that should be resolved quickly. Let's see, what else can we talk about? The objective control in Game 1's Excalibur was pretty strong. I definitely think they had the priority in their lanes that allowed them to do so, with the exception of bot side. Bot side didn't really have any priority. Now they're on the blue side though, and so they're going to have that much more of an issue getting to the Dragon Pit. They are going to have to fight for that much more wave control, and Zillion Veigar is the crucial there, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Not exactly known for their early wave clear on either side.
Yeah, the Zillion, if you run the right rune setup in that, if you go a little bit of AP and some of the adaptive force, but more specifically, if you go into minion dematerializer, you can get a very significant wave clear advantage against the likes of the Veigar. But as you said, there's no real advantage. The reason why Zillion would have a little bit more prevalency in terms of the map pressure is just that Veigar is so kind of hard pressed to wave clear when you get stacking AP by landing kills on minions with your Q, that sometimes if you put a little too much focus, even just too much focus into 1-2 minions, that alone can make a massive determination of whether Zillion can move much faster than you can, especially when he has his E. That chrono shift makes it so easy for Zillion to be in the middle of the jungle by the time that you're clearing your wave and you're heading out as Veigar. So I expect, especially with the Vi, that mid-jungle duo here for Excalibur to be kind of the pivot point in the early game, being able to control everything that happens with the Rift Scuttlers, Dragons, Rift Heralds, things like that. And now, again, it's about Gen 1 getting creative with their Nidalee pick, with their Riven pick, and everything about their composition to try to make sure they don't just get run over in the early objective game.
Veigar also having very tiny legs makes it very difficult to traverse around the map. Something that does make it a little bit easier for him, though, is we do typically see them go for the Glacial Augment, being able to pick up things like the GLP, Super Soaker, the Spooky Ghosts, really slows down the potential advance or escape of the opponent.
That it does, and especially, I think in this game, there's a lot of benefits specifically to that if you're trying to prevent Zillion or Caitlyn from entering a fight. And so now, Veigar also becomes really interesting. Veigar and Lux, I think, combined become a point of interest from the side of Gen 1 when it comes to fighting, because Zillion will want to get close for bombs, Vi will want to get on top of a team, and ideally outside of the ultimate from Ornn, he wants to be kind of in the middle of things as well, just to make sure that he's frontlining or taking damage. So if Veigar is capable of finding the right angle, you throw out not only GLP and you throw out not only everything else, the Cage and then Lux bindings can separate the Caitlyn, the Zillion, the Thresh potentially from the front line, and you create this rift where now, Veigar, Nidalee, Riven, Jhin can play front to back, or they can try to flank around the side and generate this kind of little bit of a different, instead of just a pure 5-on-5, it now becomes 2 skirmishes of 2-on-2s, 3s-on-things, things like that, where I think Gen 1 is actually looking to succeed with. If they are able to break their fight apart instead of playing 5-on-5, that's when their comp really starts to look very terrifying.
It does get very scary, especially when you are this Caitlyn Thresh who aren't super tanky, aren't super healthy, and all of a sudden you have Riven with her glued together sword really just thirsting for your life. You get a little bit scared because your Ornn's on the other side of the event horizon, your Zillion's doing his own thing like Doctor Strange, and Vizar way deep in the backside. My concern with Gen 1's general game plan there, because that's obviously the most optimal way to play this thing. They don't have a true tank. If Riven doesn't get ahead, she does kind of get melted by the survivability Thresh adds to the Caitlyn, whereas Ornn doesn't. I don't see a way he dies. I think he might actually end the game deathless, if I'm gonna be honest here.
Yeah, it could be a real concern for them not being able to do that. Again, if you look at that from that regard, I guess in terms of frontline tank, what else do you need beyond like something like Riven, especially with Nidalee heals, Lux shields behind it, when all the damage is coming pretty much from Caitlyn? If Vi wants to build damage, you're fine. Zilean will have plenty of damage at least in the mid game, but it's not going to be this massive. It's really just the Caitlyn. So if you've got 4 carries and they're able to get onto their items, especially mid late, it's going to be hard to play here from the side of Excalibur, just because of course now you have to kill all of their members to make sure they don't win a fight, instead of just killing off something like the Caitlyn and the Zilean, which is a lot faster, a lot easier, at least in theory, to do on the side of Gen 1.
Theory is usually where the best plans of mice and men fall apart. So we are going to take a short break, guys, as the two teams load into the Rift. This could potentially be our final game of the series if Excalibur Eternal are able to secure it and become one step closer to securing their second place seed. And so as we take a break, guys, be sure to stay where you are, maybe get a beverage, but we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Here we are, game number 2 of Premade Dominate Week 6 matchup between the gen1ers and Excalibur Eternal. It is now do or die time for the gen1ers, and Rebel Fox, walk me through what we should be expecting.
Sid, from what we saw in the last game, it seemed like Excalibur was really comfortable playing the pure 5-on-5, especially with kind of the singular or maybe duo damage threats to be walking out here. There's at least a little of that to consider, although we made mention of it. We were talking about theory crafting a little bit, what this Vi would be taking as a keystone. We came up with Hail of Blades, Aftershock, Phase Rush. No, it's Electrocute, exactly the same as the Diana, so Daily Peach wants the smoke in this one, as to say.
As the kids say these days.
As the kids say these days, wants the smoke.
I mean, yeah, Electrocute honestly wasn't something I was considering, because I was like, oh, if we go Halo Blades, then we're gonna get a full AD Vi and pretty much delete anybody. But no, that doesn't seem to be the play. It is the Electrocute. We saw how effective it was in game 1, so I guess it tracks that, it'll carry over hopefully to this game. Everything else pretty normal. The Glacial Zillion did catch me a little off guard, but it does make sense. So I can see that.
Yeah, able to set up like not only is it just like the GLP, the Twin Shadows, to kind of set up from those, but also Zillion uses the auto attack slow, which I think is a lesser focused on part of the kit, or at least a lot of lesser part of the keystone that comes out. Is your ability to slow somebody off the back of an auto attack to set up a double bomb, which is humongous. You don't just need to wait for the GLP, something like the Ari that used to wait for GLP with Twin Shadows to try to set up charms from a pretty far distance. Now the Zillion, using that auto attack to slow down the Vigar, can set up a really, really good trade.
We'll have to keep an eye on that as the game progresses, just like we should probably keep an eye on this top side. I don't think Blustix is going to have as much fun as he did last time. Even though I do think that Ornn does pretty well into the Riven, something about Miss You Stepro's old name being washed up Riven kind of makes me believe in the champion a bit more.
Ooh, plays all over the map. Great trade on the top side from Blustix, and the flash already burnt on the bottom side by Kenny Master. Back into the fight on top side.
Stepbro does have level 2 as well, forced to flash away. That's not good. That is not a good sign this early in the game.
That is absolutely the case. The Riven struggling to get a little bit of the trade damage back onto the likes of this Ornn, who burnt the pot, has the grasp for quite a bit of sustain on the opposite side. It was the burnt. Needs to auto attack for that Doran's proc to really try to get anything, and so the Ornn just consistently finding all of the trades necessary. Already burnt the flash. TP likely has to be burnt here as well, just to make sure that you can get back into that laning phase, so you don't just miss too much farm, get absolutely outpaced by the Ornn in the laning phase.
It is a good heads-up play, though, from the Riven to not go too aggressive with the Ignite. Hook gonna land down in the bottom side. Double Flay as well. Does get the headshot off of the 90 caliber net, and the trade 100% in favor of the Excalibur bot lane.
100% fantastic work from the Thresh. Again, this is not a very simple lane to play if you're the Thresh, if they played very aggressively, but so far feels like Vector and Kenny are just kind of playing a little bit on the back foot, which is much, much more preferable to playing into if you're the Thresh. Not only from just like an aggression perspective where you can find hooks and plays like we just saw, but also much easier to make plays the Thresh when your wave is pushed out, and if you're playing passively here as the Jhin and the Lux, you don't have the wave clear to match.
Is back to playing aggressively. I don't believe that hook lands, but it does set up for potential in the mid lane. Just trading glacial attacks. Both mid laners opting for the more supportive role, even though Mowgli's definitely going to get beat out eventually by the damage department of Vigar.
Yeah, the stun is really, really mean, though. That big AoE Q landing onto multiple members can be absolutely devastating for a fight. Even just one of those hitting during the course of the game can make a massive difference. Tick looking for another play.
Oh! Does get out of the light binding. Hook gonna connect onto the Jhin. Ignite goes out as well. Flashes away. Flash in from Cage. Not able to secure the kill. Kenny Master already gonna get back in. Forces the cleanse as well.
Everything burnt on the bottom side here, except for the flash from Thresh. Really nice hook onto Vector, being able to know where he's going to be. Forces his flash out. Actually, interestingly, this draws my attention to something very specific, which is the teleport in the inventory here, or the Summoner's Keystone coming out from Kenny Master, in that you don't have anything aggressive to play with. If you have Ignite, if you have Exhaust, you can maybe look for plays like this, but with the teleport, all that means is that you're going to have a lot of problems within this laning phase. especially when all your summoners are down. Now, all it takes is a good flash play from Tick to be able to set up a really, really solid execute here on the bottom side of the map.
It's also super concerning that when you think about it, what does the teleport actually do for you? You're the support. You're not truly gonna be, the big carry damage. You realistically shouldn't be split pushing either. So it's definitely an interesting ability to take as a support. Um, I am curious to see how that gets utilized
Mhm.
further in the lane.
I suppose if the thought, okay, there's going to be a hook onto the lug. Oh,
Oh,
there's no follow up though.
does get the flay. Light binding can connect. Kenny should be going down here shortly. The lantern in. Oh no! Cage takes a tower shot and goes down. Does get the first blood first, but is not gonna be feeling it.
That was a little that was kind of a shame, and even worse, I think the teleport from Lux actually comes into use here that you can teleport
Okay.
immediately back to the punish
Miss
top
you
side.
step, bro. Actually gonna be able to take a very good trade here. Kenny that's a bad teleport. We do see Daily Peach getting some good damage down. The kill goes over to Tick, and Daily Peach trying to survive. Fourth shot coming on through, and the top side just claws back to a draw once again.
That it does. Trade back and forth between the two. The ultimate already burnt from Where is Step Bro. And I believe the ultimate not burnt yet here from Blustix. I'm really surprised. I don't think he had the mana to burn that, which is the reason why he wasn't able to win that, because he easily could have dropped that onto Miss You Step Bro and just won that duel outright. Bottom side of the map, again, the Lux picking up a kill, the Jin picking up a kill in exchange for the 2 kills here onto the likes of the Caitlyn and the Thresh means, again, this laning phase is already not looking fantastic for the Thresh and the Jin, given the fact that they're just kind of playing a little bit more passively than necessary. But either way, getting a kill onto the Vi was rather nice.
And I would like to draw our attention to the junglers. We did see that assist going over to Daily Peach. Is still currently ahead in CS as well over Omnify, who has been hard farming this whole time.
Yeah, able to find a little bit of a gank. Again, dying was kind of unfortunate. Not getting kills a little bit unfortunate, but still rather strong showing already from the Vi, who can get out and get on the map very quickly, especially with something like the Dark Harvest on Nidalee. That's a very late game scaling champion, looking for executes later on once you've got the AP stacked, and until then, not going to mean all that much. So now my question is, what can this first ultimate from the Vi do? Because you can really command a lot of pressure, especially when you combine it with the Zillion double bomb onto multiple targets, especially if they're able to find out this dragon fast enough. They really could make a play for it, but it looks like it should be snuck over to the side of Gen 1.
And I think your point about the Dark Harvest is a pretty big one, because you're right. It is this late game scaling thought process, but you also need to claim stacks to
Mm-hmm.
really make it worth its while. And currently sitting at 0 KP doesn't really seem to be in Omnify's mind, I guess. I would like to see more action coming out when you are expecting that late game to come eventually.
Yeah.
Oh,
Again, if you're on the side of the Nidalee, I don't think mid lane is a fantastic place to look, but I think top lane is a phenomenal place to look. Trying to find some play into the likes of the very immobile Ornn could be rather beneficial. Play here, double bomb.
oh man, double bomb coming in. We are going to see Tick run up, miss the flay, and go down for it. Does get resurrected. The curtain call is going to get procced, but it's only going to be able to land on the Tick. Ace in the hole coming on through. Not going to be just enough damage. Aver's going to be able to survive. And now Miss You Step Bro forced to go in and out. Another hook lands. Come on, directed camera. Work out with me here. Kenny Master is going to stay alive because they do not get the second part of the death sentence.
Oh, yeah, resources burnt around the map pretty much everywhere here, but it is just a drag. Another hook landing.
Hook going to connect onto the Lux there. We do see Kenny get ignited. The
Nice.
auto attack's not quite enough, but the Piltover Peacemaker drops him 6 feet below.
Yeah, nice little plays from the Caitlyn being able to capitalize again and again. And actually, bottom side, we see the Vi getting on a Vector. Oh, or not.
Not gonna land the Vault Breaker though. With the Assault and Batter, though, that should be more than enough. The Smite there for the slow as well. Daily Peach picking up a solo kill in the bot lane. Definitely feels bad as an AD carry.
You lose the dragon after everything was done here from the side of Excalibur, but I think every bit of the fight actually ends up going your way. I'm surprised Blustix didn't even look to teleport. I don't know if he had it at the time, but could have looked to teleport to the bot lane to generate that ultimate to basically take the entire fight from top to bottom. But instead, resources burnt everywhere, including on the Lux, who had to flash in the way of that Caitlyn ultimate to make sure that Averlium did not go down. So again, this bottom lane Lux, just with the teleport and the flash, going to be down summoners against a very strong laning combination. on the
Okay,
bot.
Flash Flay from Tick does not land the death sentence, though. Does get the speed boost from the Zillion, though, and this should be a
Oh,
dead
no, no, no,
Omnify.
no,
The
no.
heal, it's definitely Tick's kill.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Tick gonna be able to secure that one. Kill secured.
Yeah, hoping that they would be able to get away from that one. The red buff now going. Tick looking to bot play. Nice hook, I mean, point blank as well.
And this is gonna be tough for
Oh,
Stepbro to get
oh,
out of, with,
no.
especially with the double bomb. Blustig's gonna secure that one. Why not give it to Mowgli? The guy deserves it. He's playing a supportive old man.
I mean, I was more just like cringing at the fact that you ever get those kills or like those deaths, and you get the recap, and it's like the fight lasted 5.5 seconds, and then the CC was like 5.48 seconds, and you're just like, really, what was I supposed to do? That's what that was for Stepbro. You CC'd from the top of that fight to the bottom. It has to feel so bad as the Riven.
And now you're down. You are already having a bit of a tough time in the lane, not really winning the trades with the Ornn. You're now down. Does look like he's building
Essence Reaver.
into the Essence Reaver. So that should hopefully help a little bit. But I, I don't know. It's tough. Although we do get the Merc Treads out of the Ornn.
Yeah, that is a
Uh,
bit interesting. Mowgli's in a
Mowgli?
terrible place.
Mowgli finds a bit of spot of trouble here in
Fresh
the
Lantern!
water. He is not. He doesn't have
Oh
flat.
no!
So
Alright.
yeah. Nope.
Yeah, that's a shame. Top lane. Okay, I was waiting for something. They're just going to continue again. This Vigar is very lethal, and especially now. Another hook though from Tick.
Oh, man, this is just a very unfortunate day to be a kitty cat. They are going to go down, and that is the second cat-related death we see here. And now we get the Ornhorn as well. Does connect. The Brittle proc going to do it. The second Brittle not in time, but the fadeaway Q coming in from Blustix to secure the solo kill there. And more gold coming in the mid lane in favor of Daily Peach. Look at the one, though. That's a bit unfortunate. Double bomb, not going to connect either, but Aver...
Oh,
Oh, no.
okay. You know what? You know what? I can actually very much appreciate what just happened. They were waiting for the CC to come through from Tick. It missed. They got no other CC to come out. So instead of just like randomly committing to this fight underneath mid tower that actually means nothing, all they do is walk away. I can at least appreciate that they're willing to call, say, all right, we're done. That was a bad play. Don't worry about it. And just like kind of wipe it off. And even better, they got the TP from the Lux, which again, for some reason has TP. But of course, burning another summoner spell for nothing, they were able to at least get that out, which is a big cooldown. So big respect here to the side of Excalibur being able to make sure that they know not to make that happen.
And so we're starting to see first items come out pretty much across the board. Sunfire for the Ornn definitely makes sense. Roa for the Zillion, so does have to worry about actually getting the most out of his Glacial, whereas we see the GLP Super Soaker coming in for Aver.
Pretty interesting to see the Rod of Ages first. It's pretty good scaling for the likes of the Zillion. I remember back in the day, used to build like tier into Rod for full scaling.
Tick.
Like
Buddy Opalamon, you are done and dust. Never mind. All right, that is actually going to be Stepbro going down in the engagement there. Was kind of left to hang out and dry by the rest of his team. And so now as the rest of the fight breaks down for this dragon, we are seeing Daily Peach forced away. Blustix doesn't have his ultimate just yet. Did use it in that top lane 1v1. So we'll have to force their way through here. And it looks like we're just going to go full back off. Is this going to go over to gen1ers still?
It just might. Daily Peach is getting the red buff at the moment, and they have a bit of vision to work with. The Ornn ultimate is just about up. I actually do like this from the side of Excalibur, pulling off a little bit, waiting for the cooldowns to come back. That does give time, though, for Stepbro to come here, but instead he's actually walking directly top. If they show top with bot lane pushing like this is just a guaranteed dragon from the side of Excalibur, and if they fight, they're just giving away free kills.
Oh, but Mowgli's going to get snared up. Does get some good damage. Knockup actually connects onto Omnify. Forced to flash away. Now the engage is on. Holy moly, it's that full AD Vi. Exactly as we called it. And there's no way you're going to survive that as a poor little Yordle. And that should be the Ocean Drake going over to Excalibur pretty free. The Spear not going to connect, and now Tick is on the aggression. Here comes the Blust Ornn ultimate. Going to go straight onto the support, Kenny, who's safely under tower, and that should be the full disengage. Riven putting some good work into the top tower as well.
Absolutely. Might be able to trade that back at least a little bit, and at least we're not going to hit Blustix. The top tower could be traded here. It kind of looks like that's going to be the case unless Vi can get there just in time. But I think that is going to just be the tower for the dragon and a little bit of pressure on the map. Once again, clustering together is the side of Excalibur looking to play this kind of 5-on-5 strategy. Now into the mid tower could be some trouble.
GOP gets procs. They are getting some good crowd control down. Double bomb not going to work. Does get dragged back into it. Mowgli picking up the kill. Forced to flash out. Still goes down in the end. Full AD Vi. Going to be able to take it over the full AD Riven as well. Turns out Jungle's kind of strong. Plus, he really wants this tower, but should be
There's a
going.
bait.
Oh man, the big brain bait. Omnify gets ignited, taken down by Tick, who is on a supportal rampage. Come on now.
Yeah, Tick is kind of popping off in this game. Also, if you're on the side right here of like Gen 1 right now, you have to be thinking like this is probably a couple like 100 hours into the likes of the Riven. If you've practiced the Nidalee, you know all about the pathing and such. And then you get over to like Blustix's Ornn, and he's just like, haha, Ornn go burr, and he just never dies, does a bunch of damage, has a bunch of CC, and he's just clowning this Riven and this Nidalee right now.
So I I believe I'm correct in saying this, but Mowgli died with ultimate available.
I think his mana was super low. If I recall, his mana was exceptionally low, and that's the reason. Because I thought the same thing, and I looked at his mana bar, and I think it was below 10%. So I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt on this one. Next time we won't, but this time we will.
That's my streamer, folks. And I mean, you are right. Ornn Go Burr is the name of the game. Tick, however, Tick is a nut. This game does have the threat. You know, we were actually considering the Morgana, but I can definitely see now why they would have picked. Oh man, Ornn Go Burr indeed. And so now Tick is just gonna play hook vector in. Double bomb not gonna connect once again, but hey, you don't need the double. All you need is the one. And this top lane, Step Bro just getting absolutely annihilated. Unstoppable is the word. Kenny's going to go pop, and that is unstoppable in the Peach department. That is a big old Georgia Peach doing some work there. Blustix doesn't have a tower to fall back to, but he is Ornn. Oh, man. He's going to make my prediction in... Just tore it up. He had to go ahead and die. I guess it's up to Tick to go deathless.
That it is. We'll see if Tick's able to accomplish that. Although I will say that, like, so far the dominance from the side of Excalibur is huge. I want to kind of epitomize this with a single thing that I just saw, which was that Cage was sitting there contemplating about whether he should auto for the kill or let Mowgli have it underneath the tower against Jhin. If you're at the point in the game where you're deciding whether you're the AD carry and you should grab the kill or just give it over because you want to spread gold, you're feeling pretty good in kind of the retrospect of the game. They do a good job punishing with bot tower in response to that top tower as well, sitting on a 4,500, 5,000 gold lead here. Omnify looking for something, but ooh.
Mowgli gonna step on a trap, does dodge out on the spear, double bomb coming in, gets the stun, damage not gonna come through just yet. Omnify is actually winning this trade quite effective.
And Mowgli does have ult and an actual mana bar this time, so it's possible he presses that key.
He does also have his full AD vibe backing him up.
Oh my
god! Nobody here in the chat has seen this before. This is exactly how AD vibe operates.
You know what I know what I've never seen before is a Lux, because it just doesn't exist. Neither does Nidalee. Apparently, it's just getting erased from the map.
And so that was actually, they did get the ultimate out of Mowgli, so that's a big cooldown being burned.
Yes.
Definitely just want to go up against the Riven right now. Does go back to base, and I admit, Daily Peach is once again just looking to carry the game with damage.
Like I said, I'm actually convinced that he just like one auto attacked and killed off Kenny in that. He has no armor, very, very low base armor, relatively low base health champion in the Lux, but still to be able to just slam through the HP bar like that was ridiculous with that Dusk Blade. And it is full lethality as well, which is just terrifying to think of what this Vi can do to any of these squishies. This is going to be bad. I think if you're going to play against it, you've got to have Averlium there. Otherwise, you have no way of stopping Vi from just pressing Q and eliminating someone from the map.
Okay. I honestly thought the Assault and Batter was going to come out, but it was off cooldown. Tick, though.
Oh, leave him alone, bully. Oh, my goodness.
That was the red buff. The red buff coming through. Cage actually taking some good damage. The hook going to land there onto the poor little kitty cat. Omnify flashes away. Step Bro, though, gonna show up finally. Does get sit on the trap though, and the hunt is on Tick though. Gonna stay alive thanks to the blast cone. Can this 1v1 happen? The assault battery comes through, shield coming out. This is the benefit of the Riven, is you really.
Nice.
I was gonna say you really can't catch him, but
Don't
turns
need
out
to when she dies in less than a tenth of a second.
turns out if they're dead, you don't need to worry about it.
Death is the best TC, so slowing down the Riven's not a problem apparently.
And just in time for this Earth Dragon. The Earth Dragon, one of my personal favorites. The shield does cut out a lot of the burst potential, especially when both teams right now are just looking to burst as quickly as possible. The benefit here, though, if you're on Excalibur, is the resistances.
Mhm. Resistance is really, really good. There's actually a lot of fun math that goes behind some of the resistances, but basically, any bruiser actually uses the Mountain Drake most efficiently compared to any other class in the game, including tanks. Actually, better than tanks in that regard. So somebody like Vi, who has relatively high base stats because of her kind of jungling necessity for the armor and the magic resist, will do really well with the efficiency of the Mountain Drake. Not to mention, you get that shield on top of her. That means all the kind of the pin pokes that are going to be coming through from the likes of the Jhin when she tries to walk in, the cues from the Vygar that are going to be barely tickling her health bar are now just going to be completely non-existent.
So, are you looking at this ward, this bush with me right now?
There were so many wards in that brush.
It was two Jhin traps.
Uh-huh.
I think it was two wards as well. Oh
yeah,
man,
two wards, two Jhin traps, a blue ward, and a control ward. And there's another one right there. So there's like 10 wards. Right, you gotta love the vision efficiency in this game.
Tick's gonna just stand on the trap. It does a good bit of damage. We do see the trades continuing on. I think we're gonna eventually get to a point where Stepbro can win this trade once that Death Stance is complete. But the teleport coming in, Stepbro gonna pop the ultimate, getting some good damage down here. But Mowgli with that slow. Oh no. Mowgli's actually dead.
Oh my goodness. Nope, not quite.
Oh, maybe Tick. Boom. And that is the headshot coming in. Cage just, oh no. Mrs. Mowgli as well. Oh, but the Q shutdown coming in from Aver. Blustic's now in a really tough situation. Does beat out the charges, Mr. Stepbro.
Oh, did he die?
No. You should die to Mowgli.
Oh, he gave a kill over to Mowgli. No way. Okay. That's such a sad dive on the top side. For the trade for Baron, that's even worse because there is literally no competing against this outside of just like, if this Jhin happens to get in range for the ultimate and the last shot can steal it away from the smite from Daily Peach, that's the miracle you're hoping for here. The Riven is starting to look scary as well, but I think it might just be a little too little too late. The Caitlyn and the Vi are both very much online, especially after this Baron, and this push is going to be very hard to stop.
Yeah, we actually saw Vi take 0 damage from the Baron as well, so really strong there. And we are going to hit a point where Daily Peach can only assassinate 4 of the 5 members of gen1ers, Riven being the exception there because of her expert mobility and the shielding and everything.
Oh my God. No, turn it off. Turn it off. It's too much. This is not, we need a not safe for work tag. This isn't fair.
Oh no. Okay, so we actually found Daily Peach's limit in don't 1v1 the Riven when you don't have the ultimate available, but do you really need to 1v1 when you are able to pick up a double kill, pick up a tower, continue pushing here when essentially all of the wave clear for gen1ers is gone?
Oh, the hook. Well done.
Connect onto Aver. No follow-up though, they were too focused on the Nidalee. Stepbro gonna go down to Daily Peach, who is now legendary, and that is going to be continuing to push on through. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the tower is going to be going down to the rest of the squad. Inhibitor shortly to follow. Is this game? Do they just end it here with the Baron?
I mean, what are they going to do? They have 20 seconds on the Riven, which is their only chance of fighting. Their wave clear is still intact, which is quite nice, and that's the Vygar, but the Vygar just doesn't have the damage, I think, to clear out the Baron minions yet, not to mention Tick is smurfing with these ults.
Man, Tick the God! Going to be getting on through here. Is going to go down to the tower, but thanks to his buddy Mowgli, will be surviving. Curtain call coming out, going to be clearing out as much as possible, and the call to retreat is in. Oh man, that is a big event horizon. Not big enough though.
Oh, here comes Missy Step on the back.
Does get in, doesn't connect with the stun though, is chopped up, cut up, taken down. Kage taking down the Riven, and the flash in from Mowgli trying to get the double bomb stun. Does not connect in time. But with 5 members still alive, I have to imagine this could be it. Double bomb gonna connect onto Omnify, but it's only Mowgli. Where's your friends, Mowgli? He is gonna get the eventual damage down onto Omnify, but they are still surviving, living to fight another day. But don't worry, Assault and Battery is available, so it's not much longer.
No, it will not be. The Baron buff starting to tick down slowly. The next Mountain Drake could be taken at any given instant here, but still crippling damage done to this base to force them basically stuck. And again, where's all of your wave clear at? The Vigar doesn't do too much with only the 2 items. Once Rabadon's done, you have a little bit. The Jin's run out, not really doing much with his itemization at the moment. The Riven can do a little bit, but again, there's nobody to really shove waves as hard out as you absolutely need it to. And with Daily Peach and Kage being just as ridiculously strong as they are, I think this is the curtain is slowly closing on the side of Gen 1 here.
And so something that we actually haven't talked about at all this game that is almost the talk of the town is Ornn items. They do give you essentially 1,000 gold of free stats per item. And his first friendly upgrade was Daily Peach, upgrading that Yobu's Ghost Blade, giving him that much more damage. Man, Vector's playing with fire by being anywhere near this Vi.
That he is. Goodbye. Anyway, there's a bit to speak about in terms of the Ornn upgraded items, but I actually love the Yumu's normally upgraded. I'm gonna wait till after this to talk about it though. Missy Step goes.
Bro, not able to get over the wall. The Kage is now on a killing spree, and
there's Vector. Goodbye. It never gets old. He's back.
So I only saw Electrocute proc once out of all 3 of those kills. And it was on the Nidalee, who actually survived more than Vault Breaker auto attack. But oh no.
I'm back.
Ornn Horn goes in. Unstoppable is the Assault and Battery. Oh no, the Vault Breaker stunned up.
What just happened with an E? Are you kidding me right now?
The damage coming off of the excessive force off of a tower is too much to deal with. Finally, Mr. Stepbro joining the fight, but he can't even get a kill. He's taken so very low, and the redemption just barely enough. But the fight is not over yet. The flash in, coming in from the support tick. Meanwhile, on the backside, they're busy chasing Miss You Stepbro. The Ignite should definitely do it. That is enough damage there. The curtain call not going to connect onto anybody but Tick. Tick going to be able to connect the hook. Oh, that was a big brain hook. Flay's going to miss as well. Double bomb finally going to connect for the Mowgli cat. And so that should be another kill going over to them. But that's a lot of damage coming in from Omnify. Killing spree from Mowgli. Does get snared up by the support. The final flare comes out after the ultimate from Mowgli. Finally back on the board. But that is just going to be more.
The minions, please? Yeah. The minions are just going to win this game.
All of these kills going over to the Gen 1ers. They're just giving more gold to Daily Peach. Every time they get a kill, they reset the kill counter. And Daily Peach is going to be farming those 300 sacks of gold every single time.
Is that thing at this point it doesn't even matter because he's out of inventory slots. The only thing gating him at this point is the number of items you're allowed to borrow, and currently that's the case. Goes double lethality item into first off Guardian Angel, which is a really good buy, but also Lord Dominic's for 35% armor penetration, which is just unreal to think about. To come back to a point I had right before all of that fighting and nonsense had just started, Yumu's is actually more gold efficient than Infinity Edge. So for anyone out there who said he should have upgraded the Caitlyn's item, it's actually it's more efficient to upgrade that Yumu's.
Stepbro getting caught out for the red buff. Tick is actually going to beat Daily Peach to the kill. The light binding not going to connect onto Mowgli either. And now the push is on. The Baron's alive, but they don't think they need it. They think they have the damage. Aver's taking it for a leisurely stroll through the jungle. That'll do it.
Oh, it hurts so bad to watch.
301 gold into the bank. Can't buy anything else except for elixirs. So definitely not going to be worried there. does go for the triple inhibitor clutch play, but I think that's just going to about be all she wrote here. 4 members alive for Excalibur, 3 members for the gen1ers, and Daily Peach is diving fountain. Uh, all right, guys.
That was the amount of damage they do is just ridiculous. At this point, they're also just like running directly to Baron, which is fine. Oh wait, you see what I see? Omnify's going for the touchdown. He's trying to slam waves on the opposite side of the map, make sure they don't have anything.
Daily Peach gonna get taken super low. The Redemption's gonna keep him alive. They're not even able to win the 3v2. It's just the jungler and the support. Statistically, the 2 weakest members of the team can't even lose to the top 80 support combo of the gen1ers. And they are going to be getting out to safely with that dark passage. And Blustix has taken more damage from the Baron than Daily Peach has. Do with that information what you will, but that should be.
Oh, Omnify, no.
This
Oh,
is
no,
actually
don't die. Okay.
this is actually Super 5 head cutting the wave.
Yeah.
They can't end if they don't have
Right.
any minions.
Except they just got Baron and Mountain Soul, and they have full items on Daily Peach, and now they have no Nidalee to fight off the inventing push.
Mm,
Listen, I'm not saying it was a terrible idea. Just you have to feel hopeless if you're on Omnify's side, because I mean, he has a Rod of Ages and Runic Echoes too, literally a full inventory of Daily Peach. He's actually sitting 9,000 gold down. He's less than half of the gold of Daily Peach at this point, at 31 minutes into this game, and slowly the coffin's closing, the nails are going in. Just need the hammer to come down.
and it shouldn't be much longer. We do have super minions in the base, Baron empowered and everything. Daily Peach just taking names. Hook gonna connect on to the enemy. Riven does go down to Cage, and that should just about do it. There's only about 200 HP left here. Curtain Call gets primed and procced, and that'll do it. Excalibur taking game 2 here. They move on 2-0, and they should be securing that second place position in the rankings, and that is a very, very strong showing from Daily Peach.
That was perhaps one of the most strong performances I think we've seen, not just in this game, but also in the previous game. Both of them ridiculous performances on the junglers. I almost like the Vi more than I like the Diana personally, and its ability to erase anything on the map. I know perhaps the preference going to Diana. Not to say that anyone else had bad performances. How about Mowgli? He stepped up really heavily in the mid lane today as a substitute and did some pretty good work. Kage Tick was amazing in the second game. Blustix popping off in that top lane matchup as the Orin into a Riven, which should at least outscale to some extent, and really didn't actually bend all that much, let alone break on that top side. Huge performance across the board from the side of Excalibur.
Yeah, I think Mowgli stepping up, playing 2 very supportive style mid laners as well, really letting the rest of the squad really show their true colors. I want to point your attention to the total damage to champions chart that we do see here. 36,000 damage coming out from Daily Peach, the jungler there, eclipsing the solo laners of the gen1ers there. It's tough to lose when you do that much damage.
That's the case. And the funniest thing about that is it's also not like consistent damage, because sometimes like you play like a marksman, like you play Quinn or you play Vayne into like a top lane like Maokai that just out sustains, and you just have to constantly throw damage into him to do anything. And this one, it was just every single time he hit anybody, it was just a kill immediately. There was never an instant after like 20 minutes where what happened was not a kill whenever Daily Heat was hitting somebody. So really, really impressive. Like I said, you cannot understate the dominance that he showed, and especially into a team that was really looking to surge, really looking to have a phenomenal performance, looking to win to keep their playoff lives alive. That's just a real big statement from Daily Peach and the side of Excalibur, not letting Gen 1 even take a game.
And so that is it for us here today, folks. I do want to give a shout out to both of our teams here, putting on
Mhm.
fantastic showings through both games. I do want to give a shout out to the chat as well, keeping it lively, keeping it fun. And you guys are obviously supporting the community. We love to see it. And shout outs to Fox and our streamer Gala for
Mhm.
joining me here on the desk today.
Been fantastic. Really enjoyed being here. Always love doing games like this. This was super exciting to watch. Loved watching the Vi just literally erase people from the code of the game individually. I don't think any of these champions that are here are going to be in the game for at least a week, because they have to put them back in. They have to code them manually. So
The good old Gangplank event scenario. Uh, But again, that'll do it for us here tonight, folks. Be sure to tune in, I believe, tomorrow for Divine League. And we do have much more games to be played here in the Risen Esports ecosystem. So stay tuned to their Twitter, and they will let you know exactly when all of that goes down. And for us here tonight, have a good night.